Hi, ladies, and welcome to our interview with Marlie Valencia. You are going to absolutely love listening to Marlie and everything that she has to share. She is fantastic. Marlie, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. If you could take just a minute and introduce yourself and tell the girls a little bit about what it is that you do.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Christina. I feel so blessed to be given this opportunity to speak to the young women of the Leadership Summit. As Christina mentioned, my name is Marlie Valencia, and I'm a clinical researcher for a university here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Right now, I'm working in a cancer hospital within my hometown, and I'm just doing cancer research focused on different developments within the cancer treatment realm, as well as long-term outcomes for patients who are diagnosed with cancer.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, just that's got to be a very rewarding sense of like that kind of job, to know that you're having such a big impact on people and the outcome of their lives. I mean, that's incredible.
It's definitely been a very wonderful opportunity to get to work with patients and their families during such a difficult time in their lives.
Absolutely. So do you, within your cancer research, because we know that there's so many different types of cancers, do you work with all the different types of cancers or just one specific type?
Yeah, so I began my research career within a pediatric population. So I worked with children who were survivors of brain tumors. And after my undergraduate degree, I started focusing on patients who are of an elderly population who are diagnosed with advanced liver cancers.
Wow, you've gone from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Definitely, yes, and they're very different.
Absolutely. I know when I've talked to other people who've gone into the medical field as a career, there's usually some kind of story that has motivated them. Do you have anything like that as to why you chose to research cancer?
So not specifically cancer, but most definitely in terms of just health sciences and medicine. I am an older sister to a sister who's not so much a baby anymore. She's 25, but she was born at 6 months, so she was premature, and she was only 1.5 pounds. So my mom and dad mentioned that she could fit the size of your hand, and then if you were to grab a clementine, that would be the size of her head. So I very quickly learned the importance of the neonatal intensive care unit and how they take care of babies, who one day became my very wonderful little sister.
Oh, that had to have also been kind of scary as well, just somebody that itty bitty teeny tiny, sorry, I'm just picturing somebody that little. So did she have, so that was just, she didn't have cancer or anything like that. It was just that precipitated you wanting to go and study.
Yes, yeah, she didn't have cancer, but she was just, she was just born premature, and we realized how important it is to have a very good healthcare system. I mentioned I'm from Canada, so we have a universal healthcare system here, and it's quite the blessing. I can only imagine how much it would have cost my family to have my little sister in America. Even she was in the hospital for about 3 months before she was allowed home. So it was a long time. Yeah.
Wow, I can only imagine. Yeah, what that would have been like. But that's for a different video. So what does it take? So we've got some young ladies who are watching this, and they are interested in the medical field, and not just the medical field, but doing research. What all does it take? What kind of training, what kind of schooling do they need to go through for that?
Yeah, so I would definitely say it's really important to begin with an undergraduate degree. Something you'll learn after you complete your undergrad is that oftentimes you end up in a field that isn't actually related to your major. I have a girl on my team who's actually a commerce degree completer. So there's definitely some options afterwards, but I would say beginning with a life sciences degree or gathering some foundational science skills, and then just continuing through professional organizations or through professional development throughout your career.
So then within research, then it isn't a requirement to do a master's or residency or anything like that, or?
Yeah, so it's dependent on like what types of research you want to do. So when I first met Christina, I mentioned my story. So I was very fortunate in having the opportunity to be hired by my university after my undergraduate degree, and they funded my graduate program. So there's most definitely additional research that you can do. But one thing that I think is really important is to gather experience even before you begin looking at graduate programs. You most definitely dedicate many years of your life to additional schooling. So I think it's important to know like what you're really putting yourself through. So I would say I try to find opportunities for like high school students and undergraduate students to be able to kind of come into our research area and see what research is like before they go and jump ahead with a graduate program of any sort.
Yeah, definitely. And so since you brought that up with internships, that kind of thing, so how does one find those internship opportunities?
Yeah, so I think at our university, it's kind of specific to, of course, like our local area, but oftentimes there can be high school research bursaries for students to be able to like spend their summers doing research and also just making a couple of dollars. I know that our bursary allows them to make about $3,000 for the summer, and so you not only get that experience, but you also don't have to worry about having that summer job that summer. You can also just you're technically like working as a researcher at that time. So there's definitely bursaries there. But one thing you'll also realize is there's many people who are willing to bring opportunities to younger girls. And I would say, don't be scared to send that email. If there's an area of research you're really interested in, just give them a little intro of who you are and why you're interested in research, because I think there are definitely opportunities out there.
Awesome. That's a great suggestion. And I wouldn't have even thought that would be something to do. But yeah, contacting the universities and saying like, hey, I'm interested in doing this. These are the skills that I could bring to it. Is there an opportunity for me? That kind of thing. So yeah, definitely, ladies. That's a great idea. Thank you very much for that. So is there, in what kind of, and I know that since you're in Canada, it might be a little different, but is there a particular area within the university? So are they just going to look for like the research department, or like who would be the place to start looking?
Yeah, so one thing I did in my undergrad to kind of gain that experience, I thought I honestly didn't have any connections in research to begin with. And what I did was I looked at the faculty list just based on the different departments. So the university is very large, and there's like departments of pediatrics, oncology, surgery, and just based on what your interests are, I would look for a faculty that aligns with that. So I was interested in doing research with children. I loved working with children as a high school student. So I just went to the Department of Pediatrics, saw the list of faculty, sent an email to almost every single one of them, just saying, hi, my name is so-and-so. Definitely don't have any research experience, but this is why I'm interested in research. And I had, lo and behold, I ended up getting a response. So I definitely think like sending out those cold emails, just letting someone know that you're interested. There's always so much to do in research, and there's definitely things that high school students and undergraduate students would be able to do.
That is a great tip. So there you go, ladies. You start doing that. So what is maybe within your career, what has been the biggest thing that you've struggled with, and how have you handled it?
For me, being quite early on in my career, I was very surprised to see that it isn't so glamorous on a day-to-day basis. There's, definitely the wonderful parts of research where you get to present your research at a conference, but you're not doing that every single day. So what I found difficult was trying to find those kind of moments of fulfillment in your day-to-day. The tedious, responding to emails and attending meetings. Those can get quite mundane, and you might kind of lose that motivation. But I think if you find those little moments and pockets of fulfillment every day, those are like what bring you joy at the end of the day.
And that's so true, because I think everybody thinks, like, when they find their dream job, that every day is going to be wonderful and magnificent. And there are, I mean, there are moments of that, and I hope that you find loads of moments like that and days like that. But there are going to be the days where, yeah, you're going to have to slog through another meeting. You're going to have a lot of paperwork that you have to do and everything. So how do you find those moments within that day to day that keep you going?
Oh my goodness. So I am blessed to have a wonderful team. So I don't think I mentioned this before, but I actually have a team of all girls. So yes, so there's 8 young women on my team, and ranging from like very early on in their undergrads. Actually, over the summer, we also had some high school students. And then we have members of our team who are like over the age of 30. So there's definitely a range. But I've had the opportunity to work with wonderful, like-minded women. And I think that's something that brings that fulfillment, is just being able to connect and just problem solve together and just, keep each other going. That's most definitely my favorite part of the day.
I think that's really good. Like, even if you don't have the ability to build your own team, surrounding yourself, finding the ways to surround yourself with those like-minded people who are going to lift you up and everything, and be there to support you, is very key. And it isn't just in your job, ladies. It's also in school and life, that kind of thing. You need that kind of support system. And so really examining who you're spending your time with, and are they people who make you feel uplifted, or are they people where you kind of like bring you kind of down, and really start evaluating that, and finding those people who are going to bring you up, for sure, because that makes those tedious days a little less tedious.
Exactly.
So what has been then one of the things that you found to be either the funnest or the most rewarding part of your career?
It would definitely go back to being able to work with patients. I've just had the opportunity to really work with patients from the day of their diagnosis until and throughout their treatments, throughout their different cancer treatments, and just being able to connect with the families and try to be there in any way that I can, either research-wise or anything else. I think that has been like the most rewarding and most fulfilling. Yeah, for sure.
That has to be. But a question for you is, because with working with patients, sometimes I would imagine that there are instances where um, they have a bad day, or things aren't going necessarily the way that the treatment plan was hoping. How do you handle things like that? 'Cause, I mean, especially in the medical field, I really think that that's something too that we need to talk about. Like, how do you handle that? Because that can be something that I think can potentially lead to some burnout and everything. So how do you deal with that?
Definitely. So although I feel quite early on in my career, I definitely have experienced the burnout and how working with patients, especially in a very difficult palliative situation, can cause that burnout. But I think just being like, I feel like I'm someone who really enjoys connecting with patients. And when it comes to situations like that, they really just want like a listening ear. They really just want someone to be there, and knowing that someone is hearing what they're going through, and what is impacting their day to day. I know, like, it can be as small as having to wait at the labs for your blood work. As part of a cancer treatment, you're consistently having blood work drawn, and there's also every other patient who's also having that lab work drawn. So I mentioned we're in a universal healthcare system, which means everyone within that same cancer hospital is going to that very same lab to have their blood drawn. So there's definitely just parts of the days that can be quite time consuming and can be quite, I guess, quite irritating, truthfully. So just trying to find ways to, help them throughout the day in any way that I can. I'm not saying that I'm a phlebotomist, but I will try to, if I have to wait for you while you do other things, like, I'm happy to do that. But I think it's just definitely trying to just be there for another individual in whatever capacity you possibly can. That's what they're most appreciative of. And I think every human is able to do that.
Definitely. I think that's I think a central human need is just on those times when you're having a bad day or whatever, and you're feeling frustrated. It's just, it makes you feel better just to be heard. Somebody hears your frustration and lets you vent it. You know, that's awesome. That's a gift I think that you're giving to the patients that you work with, then, because I'm sure that they run into some individuals who aren't as understanding and willing to either make the day brighter or just to listen to them. So thank you for doing that. So, when you first started out in research, I'm sure you had this idea of what it was going to be like. And now that you have been in it for a while, how is it different than what you originally imagined it would be?
Oh gosh. So actually, when I initially started my undergrad, I always thought I would just do this like direct entry into medicine after my undergraduate program, and all would be swell. You know, things definitely pan out in the way that they're supposed to. I really believe now. Maybe wouldn't have believed as an undergraduate student, but but as I guess as my career progressed and like throughout my undergraduate degree and just being able to have opportunities to do research, I realized there's most definitely more opportunities that I was willing to seek out before, you know, going headfirst into medicine. So I think that my trajectory to research is not exactly as I had planned, but it definitely gave me just that extra bit of understanding and foundation that I would require to do clinical work in the future. So now I realize like I wouldn't just want to be a researcher. I also want to be a clinician. So like being a clinician researcher is where I've kind of combined both of my interests. So I feel like research just allowed me to kind of get the best of both worlds in that way.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And it's nice to be able to find that where you can blend your skills and what you like to do and everything like that. That's awesome to be able to do that, you know?
I think it's really, really important.
It is, definitely, because again, you spend way too much of your time every day within a job. So really making sure that it is something where you're using your skills. It's something that you find enjoyment in, you're finding fulfillment in. All of those pieces need to be there. So that way you don't get frustrated. That way you don't experience that burnout as quickly. All jobs you can get some burnout, but you know, you really want to make sure that you can you have that staying power through those moments of burnout.
Yes, exactly.
Very cool. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Ladies, be sure that you scroll down below the video. There is a written portion of Marlie's interview, and then below that, there's going to be that comment section, and be sure that you ask any questions that you have for her, and she'll be sure to pop in and answer those. So thanks so much. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.